Welcome to ProjectME the Podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multi-millionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME the Podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. You are listening to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, episode 16, an insider look at Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within Chicago. So I knew I was going to record a podcast once I was already inside the venue, even before it began, because I searched high and low myself to get an insider look on what to expect. It's kind of my Virgo quality. I like to plan to know. I don't mind surprises, and I don't mind... I don't have to know every little thing that's going on because that can take away from the experience, but I do like to be able to have some sort of guidance and plan in place in order for me to take the best care of myself and to have the best experience. So I knew I was going to record this for you guys, and I'm sure that this is going to help a lot of you who are interested in going to see Tony Robbins or an event like his, or you already have gone, you're thinking of going again, or you've gone, or you were actually at UPW Chicago, given there was over 9,000 people from 60 plus countries. You might have already been there, and this will make you for sure laugh, and I bet validate the experience for you a bit. I have to say it was a trip for me. I mean, that's my home city, so I wasn't in some foreign city that I've never been in. So there was already a comfort there. I stayed at a hotel that I'm very familiar with, that I stay at often. So I had more of a comfort going in, and I didn't necessarily plan it. I felt very drawn and called to go to this specific Tony Robbins event. Even though he comes to Los Angeles, I felt like I had to go see him in Chicago. And so I followed that intuition. Plus, I got a great deal on the ticket too. That always helps. But when I walked in, and I went solo, when I walked into the United Center, and for those of you who don't know what the United Center is, I mean, it is a ginormous indoor sports stadium, where the Bulls play, the Blackhawks, etc. It was packed. It was like walking into a freezer, and I'm someone who runs really hot. I mean, like, I can sweat just sitting still. It's just how I am. I've always been this way. And I was like, holy crap, this is really cold. Like, people weren't joking. I did at least get warned about that. And I was just in awe of how many people were there, that all the seats were filled. That was just so amazing to me. Not saying he's not worthy of it. I've just seen quite a few empowerment speakers, motivational speakers, personal development speakers over the years, and I've never been in a venue that large where all the seats were filled. It was pretty incredible. And it's not like he just does one event a year. So I was like, wow, this energy is going to be off the hook. But then that first day when it all started, they do a lot of hype up, before he comes on. So if like a schedule says like it starts at 8:30 or it starts at noon, it really doesn't start at that time. They're very smart. They know most individuals aren't on time. Again, I'm the punctual Virgo, so I am on time. But they hype you up and get your energy going prior to Tony. And I later on realized why they did this. It wasn't just, for Tony's ego or whatnot. There's an actual scientific psychological reason behind it. So that was kind of interesting. And it went on. I mean, I'm talking a good full hour hype up. So I was like, when is this guy going to come on? Like, it was kind of interesting, but I went with it, and everyone kept saying, go all in, so I left a lot of my judgments and my insecurities at the door so I could go all in. Because I trust, when a lot of people are saying to do something a certain way and they've gotten a great experience, I'm not about to reinvent the wheel, right? He comes out. It was pure insanity. I mean, I've been to Coachella multiple times. I even way back in the day even saw Grateful Dead, which for anyone I'm sure you know who they are, but I mean, that had a huge, crazy following. I mean, I've seen Rihanna. I've seen some of the most major pop stars and rock stars live in concert, and I have never seen a crowd go this freaking insane for someone in my entire life. And I have been to so many different insane venues, amazing concerts all over the world. I've never seen anything like it. There's nothing that compares to it. So in of itself is really like, wow. Like, I was awestruck, and like the energy of a room with that many people just hits you. It's nothing I could probably describe well enough. You'd have to experience it. But what was so amazing is I did have in my head, because Tony is so energized. It's almost like he snorted like 25 8-balls of cocaine. Not that I would know, but I'm just saying it's like he is that energized. And I was like, there's no way this guy can keep it up, keep that energy up. One, I've never seen anyone do it. And I said, there's no way. And the man's 58 years old. So I was like, he'll probably, be out here for 2 hours, and then something else will happen. Then he'll come back out. This man never left the goddamn stage. I am not exaggerating. Well over 12 hours. He never left to pee. So I'm convinced he wears a diaper. Just saying. And there's all sorts of bottles of drinks on the stage. And because I was so fascinated by the fact he never left the stage, and I'm a hyper vigilant person, meaning I am hyper observant, he never took a damn sip of water, tea, nothing. It was not a human being. I couldn't believe it. And he is going hard. I mean, and I like to jump and I like to dance really hard. Like, I freaking love to dance. So I go all in. Like, I'll dance hard. I'll like pump my fist. I'll jump. He did it. He jumped higher. He went harder than anybody. And he kept going. It was seriously so incredible to see. And he's a big man. Normally, people who are rather petite and a slight, have a slight build, those are the ones who, win marathons, right? They have a lot more stamina. This is a big man, and he is not like perfectly lean. He's fit, obviously, but it's not like he's sporting a 6-pack under that shirt. And he was doing it. So there's something in watching someone do that who's 58 years old going, if this man can do this, and P.S., he never has to work again ever in his life, nor do his offspring or his offspring's offspring. His company's worth $3 billion, which I learned at the event. And he doesn't have to do this. So it's not like, because I heard, of course, there's always some naysayers in the crowd where their company, sent them there or whatever, or their, spouse dragged them there going, well, yeah, I would jump around and I wouldn't pee or take a sip of water if I was making all this money too. It's like, yeah, but dude, I get what you're saying, but he doesn't have to do any of this anymore. None of it. He could even just do a 1-day event, or he could be on the stage for 6 hours. He doesn't have to do any of it, really. Or he could do a way tamed down version and probably charge not too far off, not too far off from the 4-day ticket price. So he does it anyway. And that in of itself inspired me. I was like, okay, I want to know what this magic sauce is. Okay, even if my brain wants to tell me, well, of course, someone who is that wealthy has access to the best physicians, the best supplements, private chef, private plane. Okay, I agree. We can put that in there. Okay, so let's even take it down a notch. Let's subtract 25% of his energy, right? If I have a quarter even of this man's sustained, authentic energy, I would without a doubt reach 100 million mark in my business. And so that in of itself was so amazing to watch. Even if you just go to experience that and the energy of the crowd, that in of itself, I would say, is worth going at least one time. And to go, how is this man not having to pee? Of course, that's all I kept thinking about, because he kept encouraging us, to drink a lot of water, because, if you're dehydrated, it decreases your energy. So I had to keep getting up and peeing, and he never left the stage, nor did he drink the water. Anyway, I need to get off that because I'm stuck on that because it's so crazy to me. But I want to share 3 major things that I learned. Okay. I want to give you these takeaways for those of you who maybe aren't ready to go see him, or just curious what people get out of a 4-day event like this that has a pretty high ticket price. I got my ticket for $500, but you have to remember, I also paid to fly there. I had to pay for my hotel room. I had to pay for Ubers back and forth, and I had to pay for all my food. So when you tally that all up, I spent several $1,000s to attend this. And I think the average ticket price is between like $1,000 and $2,500, and there's people who pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to sit on the floor. And then there's people who, I am not joking, who have his platinum partnership that pay $75,000 to sit in the front and have VIP access to him. It's a $75,000 a year membership. Yes, that's right. Now we can partly see how this man's got to $3 billion. Also, I just want to note, I did not pay to be on the floor. I could have gotten a discount ticket to be on the floor. But I will say the coordinator I worked with that works for Tony Robbins was very honest with me and said that I would get the same experience being in the executive seating that I would in the VIP. That's what he felt, and he was honest about it. So I didn't spend the extra money. And having gone there, I don't regret my executive purchase. I wouldn't have traded it for VIP at all. I really liked where I was sitting, and he makes a point of making sure you're very, very hooked in and engaged no matter where you're sitting. Now, the general seating, if that's what it's called, if you can spring for it, I would do executive or above, because when you do the lowest seating, I think that's really far away. That's kind of like those nosebleeder seats. If you go to a baseball game or football game or something like that, I would do executive or higher. That's my recommendation. Okay, let's get to the 3 major things I learned from attending Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within Chicago 2018. So, and keep in mind when I'm sharing these, you guys, wow, it has to be 15 years of personal development work on myself. I've had all different types of therapy, a full library of books and books and books and books on wealth creation, mindset, self-worth, self-love. I could go on and on. I've seen I've seen the greats. I've seen Louise Hay. I've seen Marianne Williamson. Way back in the day when I worked for Merck Pharmaceuticals, they sent me to people like Zig Ziglar. So I've seen a ton of speakers and done a ton of work myself. I have personal business coaches that I've worked with over the years and that I work with now. So there's a lot of shit I've learned, right? I'm not someone coming in green to this mindset, personal development, success creation world. I'm someone who comes in with a very, very, what I would call very high, well-trained, highly invested wealth of knowledge already, right? But I did have an open mind. I didn't come in going, oh, I know it all, because I far from know it all. There's always things that I learn. In fact, I learn new shit every day. But I just wanted to preface that these takeaways aren't like rudimentary or like basic, #basic takeaways, okay? First thing that I learned was that it all starts with your physical energy. Meaning your success, how happy you are about your life, being fulfilled, having the money you want, career, love, da-da-da-da-da. It all starts with your physical energy. Now, I was always taught, and I also always thought it started with your mindset, meaning, your thoughts. They say, your thoughts become your beliefs become your actions. Well, what Tony teaches, which I'm totally agree and get, is it starts with your physical energy. Because if your physical energy, if you feel like shit, you're going to think like shit. When you think like shit, you're going to do shitty things, or you're going to just do nothing. And so he's right. And it's so interesting that was such a focus of the entire 4 days. And he had us actually living it, right? I'm not even exaggerating. I'm talking every at least 15 to 20 minutes. We got cued to get up out of our seats and unleash, and had that amazing like EDM, like electronic dance music, techno. I mean, amazing like Coachella level, type music going, and it'd be blasting, and you had to dance hard. They made you high five your neighbors, made you hug them, which I'm someone who doesn't really love that stuff because I'm more of an introvert, but he desensitizes you to that awkwardness for people who are a little awkward with hugging strangers, massaging strangers' shoulders, arms, and legs. When you're a little awkward, or you're timid, or that feels uncomfortable, which most people have some level of discomfort in that. You do it so much during this 4 days, you've reconditioned yourself where it's no fucking big deal anymore. And this is all by design. This is not just, oh, let's do this to keep these people awake. This is all by design, because he's teaching you it all starts with physical energy, but he's also showing you how that works, how you're able to keep going. If he didn't have us keep doing these hard dance breaks and yelling at the top of our lungs and doing all of that, I couldn't have even stayed as long as I did each day. So it all starts with physical energy. So what is most important is maintaining that physical health, that physical energy. So whatever you have to do. For me, I've come home. I've already am someone who puts my health first. I had to learn that the hard way. And it's been a couple years of me putting my health first, and my life and my business has totally changed because of it. So I already had that in place, but I never thought about the energy component. So I take dance breaks now when I'm working. I do jumping jacks. I go jump in the pool. He's big on doing like the cold plunge, or you could take, go in a cold shower for, 30 seconds or a minute, and just to like get everything moving. And you know what? It does work, because when you're energized, your like brain is lit up, your creative brain is lit up, and you end up doing like so many more tasks. Everything moves faster. So that was a huge takeaway for me. The second one was is a mindset one. And I told you, I've done a lot of work around it. But what he does, and I don't want to give away the process. And I'm glad my friends who had gone there before didn't give it away to me, because it would have tarnished my result. So I'm not gonna do that. But he has a way, which is freaking mind blowing, of getting into your deep subconscious, your limiting beliefs. And for someone like me who does yoga, who meditates, who works with therapists and coaches and I really thought I was aware of all of my limiting beliefs. And I was not. And he got us into such a state, which was very fucking uncomfortable, in order for those to come out. And it's okay. He warns you, like, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'll bring your vibe and your mood like all the way back up, I promise. And by that point, we all knew, because it was day 3 when we did this, we all trusted him that he could do that, given all the crazy shit and the dance parties and all that stuff that's gone on. I trusted that he would do that. It was hardcore. And I'll just share one of my beliefs. The first one that came out is limiting beliefs is I don't have the energy. I don't have enough energy to achieve my dreams. Wow. How interesting is that, given one of the main things he teaches over the 4 days is it all starts with energy. And I had a limiting belief around the core foundation of success, which is personal, physical energy. I mean, I could do a whole episode just on this, because I also have, I'm in recovery for a adrenal condition that basically had me almost couch bound for a very long time, where I was just working from my couch. I couldn't even go to the grocery store. It was even exhausting to shower. Well, isn't that interesting? That limiting belief was in there and buried in my subconscious, so much so it created a self-fulfilling prophecy that I wasn't even aware of. It was incredible. And then he has you reframe that belief, and not in a cheesy way or not in a conventional way that you've probably read in mindset books or even listened to on podcasts. It's in a very unique way that involves your physical body, your physical self energetically. It involves all of your senses. It worked. It really freaking worked. It was incredible. And then the final thing is, too much of a good thing is too much. Okay. So too much is too much. And some people are like, well, having too much money isn't too much. Okay. Well, people like that annoy me. What I'm saying is like, you can have too much sun. Sun's beautiful and feels great, and it's wonderful to be tan, but too much, you get burned, right? You can stay in the water too long and get all pruned and maybe even a skin rash. Too much pizza, too much cake. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Too much exercise as a recovered exercise addict. And I'm not saying that lightly. That was my drug of choice for most of my life. Too much of that led to me having one of the worst energy crashes of my life. So what I'm getting at here is, just because Tony could go 12 hours, 14 hours, or thousands of others in the room stayed. When I was over it, and when I was spent, and when I was done, I honored myself and I left. I checked in with myself and said, are you leaving because I'm Tiffany, are you leaving because you're having like resistance to what he's talking about, or you're in fear or anything? So I checked in with myself, and I knew I was being honest when I needed to leave and eat like a proper meal, because there were only snacks. There were no proper meals, and there were no breaks. There was only like a break one day, which was for 45 minutes, which wasn't enough to really do anything. So I knew what I needed and what my body needed. And I wasn't going to stay just because 90% of, maybe even more, of the entire United Center was choosing to stay, I had to honor myself because I know how I am and I know how I learn best and absorb best. And if I get information overload, my brain ends up kind of shutting down. So I don't really hear anyway. So every single day, I did leave. It's not like I stayed an hour and I left, but I did leave. So that's something that I already knew that, but to put something into practice that is very different, especially when you're watching someone who's much older than you, staying there and not needing a break, and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of other people seemingly not needing a break and having to leave for the night. So I put that into practice anyway and just did me. And I would recommend that. Just do you. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's needs are different. And do you. Just check in with yourself and make sure you're not like running away from some experience or a topic that makes you uncomfortable or something like that. So I hope that you guys, were able to get something out of my experience from me sharing my takeaways. I also would suggest whatever event you go to, if it's a multiple day event, switch up where you're sitting every day so that you can be around different people and different energy. Because what happens is we kind of want to go to the same spot because these aren't assigned seats. Most of these types of events don't have assigned seats. You have assigned sections. And it can be, especially even for someone like me, Miss Virgo, introverted, I could want to like do that routine and sit in that same spot because it could feel comfortable, but you're not there to feel comfortable. And just kind of vibe out where you want to go. That's what I did. I just walked into the section I felt drawn to, and it was the perfect place for me to be every time. And I even ended up running into, which is crazy given how many people were there, I ended up running into people from the first day on the fourth day, and just like kind of let the universe or God or whatever you believe in kind of pick your seating every day. I would highly recommend that. And bring a shit ton of snacks, bring more snacks than you think you need, and drink way more water than you think you need. That's another good one. And I do also feel I need to say this, and I'm not trying to end on a low note. I do feel I would have loved to have known this ahead of time, that for this particular event, the Tony Robbins UPW, he is there 2 of the 4 days, on the first and the third day. His compadre, his partner, is there on days 2 and 4. Now, I'm not taking away from that and saying that would make my ticket value worth less. Because as I said, Tony's there for more hours than I could even hang. So he brings it. Like, I for sure feel I got the value out of my ticket. I just would have liked to have known that he wasn't there every day, because I would have maybe planned for things a little differently. Because he is such an energy powerhouse. I would have been able to have mentally been able to have, been able to plan better. Because really, once you experience him, even though his counterpart is great, on a completely different level, So poor guy, in a way, he has to be the follow-up to Tony Robbins, which there really isn't. So that's hard to do anyway. But I just wanted to let you guys know that before you make that investment. However, I still feel it was a completely worthwhile investment, because when Tony is there, he is there more than you could ever even be there. That's how there he is. He's like there times a million, and he just keeps going and going and going and going. I mean, how many speakers have you gone to see, or even events where it is lasting 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, no breaks? I can tell you I haven't, and I've been to a lot. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my insider look at Tony Robbins UPW Chicago. Would love for you guys to leave a review on iTunes with some of your thoughts about this episode, and head on over to Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany and follow us there. And we have a lot of great tips and strategies for business owners, entrepreneurs, and people who are wanting to make their side hustle into their full-time business. So wishing you great wealth, health, and worth always. Thanks so much, guys, for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.